All righty. Well, good evening, everybody. Appreciate you taking time to join us for the Winter Walking Club's webinar. Something as we've made this to be the expectation of our health and fitness coordinators and trying to treat walking clubs the same as any other sport. We wanted to provide some guidance, be able to provide some refreshers on what we talked about in healthy lifestyles, allow our health and fitness coordinators, mentors, and other volunteers and staff to share best practices, get to know each other, ask questions, and really just a good refresher for us all on what's expected of us. I think I know everybody here, all except one. My name is Jordan Schubert, manager of athlete leadership and young athletes for Special Olympics Pennsylvania. Excited to have you on. And then for those watching this recording, I appreciate you taking the time. And of course, happy to spend some time with you afterwards if needed to answer any questions you may have. So, what I'm going to do is just because we are going to have people watching in this recording, the presentation itself, Elf, I'll talk through everything. And, and you know, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And we'll address them at the end, just because everyone's questions or comments would be unique, and I want to try to be respectful of those that are watching this afterwards. So with that. So just a quick rundown of what we'll be talking about. So for those of you that are also coaches, this shouldn't look, it should be pretty similar to what stuff you may already know. But for those that are part of this preseason webinar for the first time, we'll be talking about preseason reminders, attendance trackers, walking club expectations, and closing out with the Q&A. So, starting with the preseason reminders. So, the season at a glance. The winter season did begin on December 1st. First, as you know, if you're participating in winter sport, you may already know this. But again, we want to try to treat walking clubs as close to our sports seasons as possible. So that way, give everybody plenty of chances to get 8 or more weeks of walking clubs in. Understandably, some folks may not be. Hope is that you have everybody that is participating registered already. But just like with our sports, the eligibility deadline for the winter sports season is December 20th. So please keep that in mind. And I apologize if I sound a little nasally. I've been dealing with a cold recently. Yeah, so uh, some quick housekeeping items that should most of you may know, but good to discuss is the athlete requirements. Is that they have a medical on file with signature. Just like just like you would for any other sport, you have medical that's good for 3 years, and then and you would save the medical under attachments with the person's profile, as you would. For volunteers, same thing as any other activity. Need their Class A training, so that means their background check, which is valid for 5 years. General orientation, and which is good for life. Protective behaviors, excuse me, which is valid for 3 years. And concussion training, which is also valid for 3 years. So, what our health and fitness coordinators and mentors will do is they will check the tracker. So, that's the spreadsheet that you are given by your regional sports director that will, will provide. You'll be checking them to ensure that all athletes and volunteers are eligible and meet the eligibility requirements. So volunteer eligibility and volunteer classification. So just uh, similar or to sport or to our sports, we want to keep in mind which volunteers can and cannot chaperone own athletes and volunteers. Or so unified partners, those are volunteers who train and compete alongside athlete. They are required to have the same aim aim certifications as any other or volunteer or but with just like they would in sports, walking club they are attending as a participant. A general volunteer, those are people who assists only at the local training site and has limited contact with athletes, only under supervision of coaches. They do not chaperone or travel. Now that may not be relevant since this is all local, but these individuals also only attend. They may be either with or a kid, but they uh, but they wouldn't be directly supervising. They wouldn't have direct contact with the athlete. It's in order to do so. They would need to have fill out the volunteer application and get all their clearances and trainings completed. So mentors, just like for those of you that are also coaches, as uh, as you would be expected to enforce those classifications. And I see we have a question. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, as far as general volunteers, uh, they are what class are they considered? Are they like a class A? Is that what you
Well, and
consider
I
them?
don't
And
know if this
then
is something we'd really have to deal with walking clubs compared to actual sports. So what I would advise
do
is
we have to be like in ratio?
so the 4-to-1 ratio does need to be in place at all
Okay.
times. So that's what I was going to say is it probably would be best us that for any volunteer we get them as we're about as you'll see here for volunteer eligibility. The probably good that we have all volunteers that are there's you get there's be a registered class A volunteers. That's probably the best way and we should be managing. This is the first time we're doing this, so we do we'll continue to modify so that way we're using better language that's relevant to this. As some stuff is relevant to both, but in other cases may be a little different compared to sports, and that's part of the learning process that we're dealing with. So
So what would you consider then as the role of the general volunteer?
So what we really want are volunteers that are Class A volunteers. So starting with the mentor, or these that would basically be like the head coach, someone that directly supports or is the health and fitness coordinator before, during, and after all walking club activities. So just like any other coach, they would need to go through, have their volunteer application, background checks, protective behaviors, general orientation, and concussion training. And so to meet the 4-to-1 ratio, we'll need additional volunteers. And those could, and those are that's any volunteer that at doesn't need to be a mentor, doesn't need any other certifications other than their background checks, general orientation, protective behaviors, and concussion training. And just like, and that's where we're asking mentors, asking you to enforce these classifications. And so just like any other activity.
So you're defining so we're not really like officially coaches, we're mentors.
Right. And maybe I'm overcomplicating this. Oh, and oh, and oh, the main thing is all volunteers involved in the walking club should be a Class A volunteer, that they have their background checks, general orientation, protective behaviors, and concussion training.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if we have that many, so.
And so these are all the volunteer requirements that gives a better breakdown on you can see and again this is something that we're doing this for the first time and maybe we can explain this a little better. But really, when it comes to walking clubs, the people that so we're looking at the mentor like the head coach, and we're looking at all other volunteers like chaperone and training site volunteers, which means we want them to have their clearances, have their protective behaviors, have their general orientation, have the air concussion training. So that way, a, uh, there's plenty of coverage. As, so the main difference here is that the mentor is someone that's actively supporting the health and fitness coordinator, someone that's been through the training with them. And if they weren't their original mentor when they were first trained, then it's someone that then we'd work on that. Not I don't want to get bogged down in the weeds too deep right here, but that's the main distinction between those two, and that's something that, again, this is the first time we're doing this, so certainly it can and better explain, but hopefully that simplifies everything here. Alrighty, so attendance trackers. So if you're a coach, you should know what an attendance tracker is. As and if for those that aren't coaches, is the attendance tracker. That's a, Google spreadsheet that is distributed by regional sports directors like Jen, who's a regional sports director for the Wild. And Trust, if you want to wave your hand so everybody knows who you are. Uh, any questions as it relates to our regional sport director support, and it'll be great to answer that. But the main thing I want to share is that at the conclusion of the sign up period, you should receive a tracker from your regional sports director. I understand in some cases that is not the case, so I've been following up with some. But if you haven't, please let me know ASAP. So think everybody has my email, but just in case, this is it. So with the tracker updates, so the tracker is now the one place to manage your team, or in this case, walking club, meaning both attendance, who attends every week, and eligibility. Just confirming that all athletes have their medical, all volunteers have their clearances and other trainings. So for everyone that is signed up for your training site via the sign up, they will appear on your tracker. Now there are some tabs at the bottom, um, uh, and there will be instructions. The instructions explain that what is contained on each tab and what needs to be completed by the coach. In this case, the mentor during the season. It includes the total number of people and verifies that the 4:1 ratio, excuse me, is being met. At and For athlete and volunteer, so when you view signups, it you can pull their contact information, check their availability. When you're taking attendance each week, you can add an X in the column. That's perfect. And the main objective of here is that walking, just like with sports, walking clubs meet minimally once a week for 8 or more weeks during the season. So the reason being is the reason why we chose 8 weeks is the same reason and why you need 8 weeks of practice before attending a state event. And is Want to make sure that we're having enough, everyone's physically active throughout the season. And that means 8 weeks is the minimum, which means if you can do even more, even better. So we talked about expectations from the mentor. So let's talk a little bit more about the expectations from health and fitness coordinator or themselves. So, health and fitness coordinator, or as we talked about in healthy lifestyles, your main responsibility is to lead the group in warm-ups, walking, cool downs, with support from your mentor as needed. It's also important to demonstrate good, healthy habits by having a positive attitude, drinking water, or eating healthy snacks. And if you're able to provide them to everyone else, that'd be even and better. And some suggestions to consider to make your walking club more or fun is to come up with fun themes each week to keep people engaged and wanting to attend. So just a few examples I came up with. So mismatched socks. If you're outside, bringing your dogs, having funny hats, or and so on and so forth. So with your walking club schedule, you want to start your club with warming up for 5 minutes, and so that means a slower paced walk. Your club participants should start at a pace that's comfortable, and everybody's comfort level may be a little different. But what you want everyone to do is gradually pick up speed until walking briskly. So what that means is that you're walking at just a little faster than you normally would over the course of 1.5 to 2 miles in about 30 minutes, and that's what's typically recommended. It could be a little more, but would definitely recommend to try to stay within that, especially since you're going to have people of all different physical abilities. Is So try not to do too much more than two. Your club participants should be breathing hard, but still be able to carry a conversation. And then uh, to to close, you slow your pace during cool down over the last 5 minutes, and this shouldn't be the only time that they exercise during the week. I think this is a good reminder for many of us. Us is that everybody should be doing some sort of physical activity over at least 5 days during the week, just like it's talked about in athlete performance training. My mouse will cooperate. There we go. So here's a visual example to show how long you should be walking. And what this means is that the first few weeks you may not be able to walk briskly for a long period of time, and that's where or every 3 weeks, you may then you consider adding 5 minutes to your walks because especially during the winter season where people are inside a lot more, may not be able to maybe a little difficult to walk for a long period of time consecutively. So, but then as you get more or time in, then go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, then 20 to 25 minutes, and 25 to 30. The main thing, of course, is to keep in mind, try to take note of your participants' abilities, is their physical abilities, just like in any sport, or you want to challenge them, but also want to make sure that it's a reasonable. We're not putting too much a strain on them. Now, I do want one thing I do want to get into is the site registration, and this was an oversight on my part. The deadline was December 1st. At the start of the spring registration season, it was during Fall Fest, and then shortly after Fall Fest, I had to take an unexpected leave of absence. So I apologize for that. So I am going to be following up with those of you that have not shared with me uh, your intent of doing spring walking club, as well as those that had shared with me they weren't going to do something in the winter but are planning for the spring. And so I'll be in in contact before the end of the year. But if you know right now that you are planning on doing this, please let me know ASAP. The spring season will be taking place from March to June. And then once the site is registered, just like we did here and what you do with your sports seasons, share this with as many athletes and their families as possible. So that's where, or, that's the nice thing is be having the walking clubs as part of the sports sign up is to be able to better promote it with your offerings, however you do so locally and regionally. So last thing I wanted to share, so with the spring season, is we'll have another webinar, or the end of January, January 30th, at 6 p.m. And then, obviously you won't be able to do this here, but when you get the PowerPoint from me, yeah, you'll be able to register online, and I'll also place in the email L2. So you'll be able to do that. So with that being said, Ed, appreciate got through that at within a reasonable amount of time. So I'm gonna stop recording so that way give everyone a chance to ask questions. And we need to go back on anything we can. For those watching this recording, what reason I'm cutting this off here is because I'd like to be able to speak with you directly. I'd rather give you 15 minutes or so of my time than ask you to spend an additional 30 minutes it's listening to stuff that may or may not be relevant to you. Thank you.